He has 2 children, and it appears that they were caught in what appears to be an affair.
Yeah. Oh, look at these two. All right, come on. You're okay? Oh, what? Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy.
A couple, they realize they're on camera, then they pull the ripcord on that moment. He just, I don't know where he went. Can you imagine getting busted at a Coldplay concert of all places?
Hey y'all, this is Frank Latte of the Latte Wellness Group. We are in with our worldwide mastermind, with our therapist, our wonderful therapist. And one of the topics that I wanted to talk about today was, why do people become unfaithful in relationships? I was inspired because I think we all seen on social, the CEO of the one company, astronomy, or the CEO that got caught at the Coldplay concert basically having an affair with his head of HR. And I was reminding me of, like, because I'm familiar with a little bit of couples counseling. Basically, why do people become unfaithful in relationships? So I just wanted to have a conversation. Sometimes the best way is to ask my therapist, I'm joking, of course, is to ask ChatGPT and let me see if people agree with what it says, right? One of the first thing, which is interesting, is emotional dissatisfaction or neglect. So many individuals cheat because they feel emotionally unfulfilled in their current relationship. This can include feeling unappreciated, unloved, or ignored by their partner, lack of emotional intimacy or connection, or seeking validation or affection elsewhere when it's missing at home. What are the thoughts on that?
I think ChatGPT is pretty smart. I mean, emotional dissatisfaction, the other one is sexual dissatisfaction, all those things.
Yeah. The other one, it says, is sexual dissatisfaction. Sexual needs and expectations differ widely between partner. Infidelity may result from incompatible libidos or sexual preferences, feeling undesired or sexually rejected by their partner, curiosity or desire for novelty and adventure in sex. This is why people cheat. This is not why people come to couples counseling, right? So I'm joking.
People might cheat because the communication is bad, leading to poor sexual intimacy.
That's true. No, that's true. I think the communication piece ties into the emotional. I think this one, the first one that it said, right? The emotional dissatisfaction or neglect, feeling unappreciated, unloved, or ignored by their partner. Right. Essentially here, you see it all the time, right? You see people with great relationships. You'll see it all the time on, celebrities or things of that nature. On the outside, everything looks great. But then on the inside, you're like, how can it do that? Because, the consequences of it, right? They're very big, right? Communication, I think Chris also said something on, right? I believe it's poor work-life balance, boundaries, and not being able to connect with your partner. Right. What I have noticed is that in my previous couples that I've worked with, essentially here, you think the grass is greener and you're seeking whatever you're missing, that fulfillment from your other partner. But things change after a while, because if the underlying issue doesn't get addressed, or you're not able to, like April said, communicate your feelings and communicate, hey, I'm missing this, then you're going to keep, once you are kind of done with this relationship, once it's run its course, once the honeymoon phase has kind of like expired, then you're kind of on to the next one. For those people that are like serial cheaters and then haven't really taken the time to really, do that hard work. Any other thoughts on this?
I think that the ChatGPT offering is pretty good, but it's also not very nuanced. I think that often cheating is about an unconscious desire to achieve power within a relationship, because often having a secret make one feel like, they have more power in the relationship. And sometimes I think that's part of it, is when a member of a couple feels like their voice doesn't matter, or like the other partner has more say, more autonomy. I think that can also sort of drive that behavior.
I was just going to speak to Jules' point with an example. I had a partner admit to me that he cheated because resentment, that his wife was getting too comfortable. She was actually doing very well in her doctorate degree, and that's the time he chose to cheat on her. It sounded to me in a way that he felt sort of envious of his wife's achievements, and so he felt like he was going to get one up on her by cheating on her. And so I think that power does play a role. Feeling that your partner, whether they're a good partner to you or supporting you or not, that you feel like at least you have this bit of freedom that they don't have, or you're able to do something that they're not able to do, that you have access to other people when they don't, you're having your needs met in ways that they aren't. So I do think power often plays a role in cheating.
As you were talking about that, Vakshi, I was thinking about something too. Like, when people grow at an unequal level in a relationship, say like the spouse, I don't know, for example, went back to work, or they raised the children and they went back to work, and the other spouse feels there's an unequal power dynamic. I kind of feel like that when the relationship changes, sometimes if the partners don't grow together, there could be an issue too.
Piggyback on my previous comment, I think it's the work-life balance, but I'm at a little nuance to the fact. I think it has to do with like you're tired and mentally tired, and so you kind of in a way emotionally disconnect, and you gotta recharge. Especially you have to come back after, like a 1 hour traffic, right? So you're all irritable. And I believe, based on like observation, in a way, it kind of, if you're not being, like, you know how therapists give a lot, but they don't receive as much if they don't have a therapist. Hence why you kind of, in a way, dissociate a little bit. And when you dissociate, you're kind of like in a quote unquote in your own world. And so hence why when spouse asks, is everything okay? That question is like a big question, because you're like, you don't know where to start. And hence why, from a guy's perspective, I'm okay. And even though from maybe the other spouse is more of like, I can see something, but I've noticed that women tend to be, not all, but also guys can be, they have high emotional intelligence, and so women can pick up on that. And so it has piggyback on other comments on like, communication style. But what I'm trying to emphasize is dissociation with oneself because of work-life balance too much and not setting boundaries when it comes to when it leaks to family. That's my observation.
Chris just made me think of something else that I believe. I think it also has to do with unconsciously associating the other person with stress. So if every time we're in the same room together, you're nagging me about the kids or the dishes or what I haven't done, and my body goes into fight or flight, I'm associating you with unpleasantries. I think a lot of couples unconsciously associate one another's presence with stress. And so then when they go to somebody new, it's a vacation. Nobody's over here bothering me about what I haven't done, or I haven't done the dishes or the laundry or taking care of the kids or all of the minutia of everyday life.
So what do? Let's say you have a client comes in, they've admitted, this is give me high level here. I'm not trying to go too deep. I know we only got 10 seconds. This is for my social, right? Got to do it for the gram. All right. Hey, client comes in here. They're dealing with infidelity. Let's say it was the man that cheated on the wife. How do you heal from that?
You have to work on trust for sure. I mean, trust has to be the first element. The trust ladder, I would use that because it's a lot of restoring trust if they come in and admit infidelity, because that's a lot. But starting with trust, because you've broken their trust, or the client has broken the partner's trust.
So I'm gonna be that person. Which type of cheating are we talking about? Like, it's like emotional cheating or physical cheating? So you can go deeper than, okay, is emotional cheating worse than physical, or is physical worse than emotional?
Which one you want to help on?
Well, I feel like with emotional, it's worse to try to fix that versus physical, because you went and connected with someone on a deeper emotional level to where it's like, okay, if I'm your partner, why can't you talk to me about certain things? Why do you find someone else to kind of confide in with all of that? So that's worse than in a physical sense. Because you can be physically attracted to someone, but not connect with them on that deeper emotional level.
I like that. Thank you, Tasha.
I think it would be both though, because I don't know, like the physical too is important in a relationship. So if you have messed up physical and emotional, or either or, they can both be significant though, because I'm just looking at it from a spouse's point of view. Okay, if my husband went out, found somebody else or whatever, and I don't know, recovering from that would be very difficult, because there's an element of it's all about trust. And if you've broken trust, whether emotionally or physically, it's going to take a lot to restore that. And you got to be in the same place as your partner too. Like if you go to therapy with your partner, then you got to be in the same place. Or, say I had a couple where one was more traumatized than the other. We ended up splitting them up and doing individual with the more traumatized person, and then sending them to another therapist to do couples work. That's also another perspective.
From my vantage point, if I'm working with a couple that's experienced cheating, the main thing that I'm dealing with that's in the room is grief. Because I think you have to grieve the old marriage and who you believed that partner to be and what you believed you had. I think these people that have experienced that, they go into profound grief, and that's what we have to deal with more than anything. And then there's also the difficulty that I think when we're in a state of acute stress, that especially between couples, everything takes on a highly symbolic meaning. So it's like if you were just cheated on, and your partner chooses not to spend time with you, you're going to very likely tell yourself, well, it's because they don't love me, they don't care about me. So I think a big part of restoration for those couples is dealing with the grief like a death, accepting that the marriage that you had prior is over. You're going to start a new marriage. And that's kind of where I put my focus.
Jules, I really like that actually, because it reminds me as a person that works with grief a lot. Like, grief is not just a death, but it's like spot on, I feel like, because the grief of what was, right?
Yeah, and like infidelity is highly symbolic too, right? It's really, at least from my view, it's not so much about the sex act. It's more like, what does it mean that you went over here and you were with this person? And we have to really, really break that down to understand like the symbolism, what that person believes that means that they lost, to really deal with it, at least in my opinion.
I also like what Joshelle just said. Did you see that, Frank?
Yeah, go ahead and read it.
She said, grieving the expectations that you had. I also like to ensure that both parties want to participate in restructuring.
Did you want to expand upon that, or Giselle or April? Anyone?
I know she can't, but if I were thinking like her, people, when you get married, you have, or when you're in a relationship, you have expectations of each other. And so maybe she's talking about, do both partners want to put this back together? You know, do both partners want to fix it?
Before we end, let me end the video here. Well, thanks for tuning in. This is our Latte Wellness group. Look for more videos on various topics. You know, we choose topics that we see are going to be trending on socials, and we'll give you our expert therapist opinions and strategies to deal with, overcome. And if you are dealing with any type of relationship issues, please feel free to DM us and we can link you with one of our world-class therapists. Thanks.